Okay, I read 20 books this month, so I'm not going to bore you or me by drowning on in a long intro and looking like an idiot. Let's just jump right on in. All right, let's do it. First book I'm gonna go ahead and talk about. I already have a full reading vlog of it on my channel. You can go ahead and check that out. And that is Crescent City by Sarah J. Maas. So you can hear my full thoughts in there and my full reactions to reading this whole entire book. Spoilers obviously included. But I gave this one 5 out of 5 stars. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I didn't really expect anything less because I really loved Throne of Glass and ACOTAR. So I went into this expecting to love it. But I really just vibed with Bryce and Hunt, and it sucks that it's incomplete because I just want more. It was really slow for me to get into. It is some dense world building at the beginning that is not necessarily my fave, but it is necessary for fantasy books, so I get it, I do. But it wasn't necessarily my favorite to start off with, but by the end, I did just end up really loving this. So 5 out of 5, you can check out all of my thoughts though in that video. I realized that I didn't have my ring light on, so hopefully that looks a little better. But also I use natural light mostly, but I don't get a ton of natural light into my apartment, so this is what it is. Okay, then I have a few books. I have 3 books to talk about now that I read this month, but they're all for reading vlogs that I have coming over the next month. So I'm gonna kind of keep my thoughts vague. I'll give you my star rating of them all, but I'm gonna keep all of my real thoughts and opinions on them until those reading vlogs come out. So that first one is Wait For You by Jay Lynn, aka Jennifer L. Armentrout. This is going to be in a TikTok Made Me Read It vlog coming soon. I gave this one, I think I ended up giving it, maybe I gave it a 5 on Goodreads because I rounded it up. Thinking back on it, I think I would give it about a 4 out of 5. There were a lot of things that I liked, a few things that I didn't like. Overall, though, I like Jennifer L. Armentrout's writing more in this contemporary sense than I have in any of the fantasy works that I've read. And then I also read Legendborn by Tracy Dion. This one is also going to be in that TikTok Made Me Read It vlog. This one, okay, I gave 5 out of 5 stars on Goodreads. This book was incredibly well written. The main character, Bree, is such an easy character to get behind and root for. The history in this book, the magic system, everything was just stellar. And then the third book that I read for an upcoming reading vlog, I'm doing another banned, forbidden, taboo reading vlog. So I read Unconditional by QB Tyler. I think I'll give this one about a 3.5 out of 5 again. I just really wanted so much more out of it. I did really like the story, but I just needed so much more time spent with these 2 characters and maybe a little more pining. I will have more thoughts on this book in that reading vlog. And also, if you have any other banned, forbidden books that you want me to read, I'm still compiling my list of everything that I want to read for that. That one will be out towards the end of May. But let me know in the comments below if there's any that you want me to read. I already did one of these on my channel before, so you can check back to that one to see the other ones that I've previously read. But I'm excited because these are just it's just a fun time to read some of these. The rest of these are all ones that I didn't read for any vlog, so I'm gonna go a little more in depth on my thoughts of them. But let's jump into, I finished off the Kimura Chronicles and the Bound by Blood series this month, which I'm really sad about. I haven't read the 2 standalones of Cora Riley's. I know they're kind of interconnected into the world, and I do plan on reading those next month, but I've read all of the Bound by Blood and all of the Kimura Chronicles. So let's start with, I finished Bound by the Past, which is book 7. It's Dante and Valentina's second book in the Bound by Blood series. And I liked this. I liked revisiting Dante and Valentina. They are not my favorite couple, but I did still really like this. I loved getting the parts, especially in this, from Dante's point of view, from the Bound by Duty book, because you don't get his POV in that book, and it's so hard to tell what this man is thinking. It just really enriched their story, I thought. And also I definitely loved the part that overlaps with Twisted Pride in here. Again, just great. And this really gave great insight into Dante's motivations and why he is the way that he is, and his actions throughout the rest of the series. It made sense, and I really liked it, so I ended up giving this one 4 out of 5. Then to wrap out that series, I read the Bound by Blood anthology. This was just a no from me. I'm so disappointed. I was really looking forward to this, and I didn't love it. Just a collection of short stories. And honestly, my favorite one out of here is the one of the couple that we don't even know. Who is it? I can't remember their names now. I'll pop it up onto the screen here, but it's the little short one about like the stepbrother, stepsister, like time in lockdown. I know that sounds weird. Not like lockdown, like COVID lockdown, but like enemy lockdown. And they've been attracted to each other for a long time, and now they're finally like acting on that a bit when they're in this bad situation. I don't even know. That was the most interesting story to me in here. I think the reason I hate it, or I didn't hate this, I think I gave this 3 out of 5 on Goodreads, but I would have probably given it like a 2.5, but I rounded up. I liked the extra time with Arya and Luca because I will take any of that I can get. But honestly, Liliana and Romero, like their story was fine, but I think they're just kind of boring. Growl and Kara, like fine, but they were definitely my least favorite couple, probably out of the entire series overall. Actually, maybe Adamo and Daenerys. Anyways, we'll get to that in a moment. Here's my thing. I was so looking forward to Gianna and Matteo. I love Gianna and Matteo. They are my second behind Arya and Luca in the Bound by Blood series. And they... Spoiler alert here, I'll give you a second. If you haven't read it yet and you don't want to know, I'll give you a moment to just skip ahead a little bit. Not every couple needs to have children in romance books. Can we just like get that out there? Get the word out there. Not every couple has to have kids down the line, and Gianna and Matteo are just one of those couples that I don't think should have. They shouldn't have had children. That didn't seem like it was right to their story, right to their characters. It wasn't something that Gianna wanted, and I'm just sad. I was loving just watching them live their lives, going out to the club, going out to dinner, like fun times. Why couldn't they have just done that? Why did they need to have children? So anyways, I'll get off my soapbox about that, but I just absolutely hated that, and I wish I could like erase it from my brain and just pretend that they're still like gallivanting around New York, enjoying their lives, child-free. Then I finished off the Kimura Chronicles, so I'm gonna quick wrap up these 3. So Twisted Bonds, this one is Nino and Kiara's second book. I loved this, 5 out of 5. I just really think that Nino and Kiara needed more time in their relationship because there was so much that they had to work through and twisted emotions that they definitely deserved this extra time spent with them. And the character development that both of them go through and that you get to see in this is just a plus. I love the friendship that Kiara has with the other brothers too that you really see in this highlighted, like Savio and Adamo. I just think that that's really great. And same with Remo too. Overall, I think this definitely stands up as in the top of my favorites for this whole series. Then I read Twisted Hearts, which is book 5, and this is Savio and Gemma's story. I did not hate this as much as everyone else did. I went into this expecting not much, because on Goodreads, people just obliterated this book. They hated it. They hated Savio. And maybe that's why I ended up pleasantly surprised by it. I gave it 4 out of 5. I didn't hate it. Yeah, Savio says some like shitty things. And yeah, he says some kind of disgusting things. But I do just find him kind of endearing. And it's like, if he was a real life man, I could never be around him. Like, he would just annoy the absolute shit out of me. However, in this, there's just something about him that I just find kind of endearing. So I get it that it's not for everyone, but for me, I didn't necessarily care. Gemma was fine. I kind of liked that we got the timeline of them growing up and how she's always had this crush on him. Like, that kind of brought it full circle. It made it feel like a little more slow burn of an aspect, kind of. I didn't mind the duel for like her hand in marriage. That was kind of fine by me. Like, yeah, he's a complete meathead, but I don't know. I kind of have a soft spot for Savio, so. And then Twisted Cravings, Adamo's book. I'm just, well, one, I was putting this off for so long because I didn't want to be done with this series. I just have loved it so much. And I love Adamo. He was probably my favorite brother from the very start, like when we first got introduced to all the brothers. I mean, obviously Nino and Remo, I was like, hey. But there was just something about Adamo, like he's just such a sad, emo little kid, and I was just drawn to him, and I just wanted to like protect him and love him. I was really looking forward to his book because he had so many complex layers. Like, I wanted to know about his time in New York with Luca. I wanted to know about growing up with Nino and Remo. I wanted to know about his drug addiction and his struggles with that. There were so many things in his past that I wanted to dive into, and I was so excited to get into his head and get his POV, and we didn't really get that. We just got a bunch of him talking about how hot Daenerys was and like helping her do this like vigilante mission, which was fun. I liked it and I got it. I'm like, Daenerys, get your revenge. but I just wish that we had more time. I did like Daenerys. I thought that she was fine, but I didn't really like the insta love between the two of them. I'm just much more of a slow burn, and the insta love thing just kind of doesn't work for me. Overall, I was just left kind of disappointed. I think I would give this one about like a 3.5, honestly. Oh, I hate to say that because I love this series, but this one just didn't really work for me. And it wasn't even the racing aspect either. I wish we would have gotten more of like behind the scenes kind of racing than just around camp, because I love the Fast and Furious franchise. I love race cars. That would have been fun to get more of, but we didn't really even get that. So just kind of a letdown for me. Forgot when I was talking about the other Bound by Blood book. So I also read Luca. I don't know how you say his last name. Is it Vitiello? Don't come at me, I don't speak Italian, clearly. I did not know that this existed until I was reading. I think when I looked up the Bound by Blood anthology, then this popped up and I was like, who's gonna tell me that Luca had his own POV? My main man, Luca. So I was so excited to read this. Still, it was not my favorite book in that whole series. However, I did really love it. And I think it was nice because I've had a break since I read Bound by Honor. I read that last year. I don't think I would have wanted to read those two back to back. I don't like it when authors do that. I just prefer that they tell one book from two different POVs than make two separate books from two different POVs and make them be like the same exact events. Like, I don't like that. I hate reading those back to back because I'm like, I literally just read this story. So I liked that I got the space reading this one. Made me remember why I just really love New York and Luca and Arya. I throat crushing man. I don't know what else to say about him. I love Luca. Then I read Ugly Love by Colleen Hoover. So this was my like third or fourth Colleen Hoover book. And I get it now. I get it now, people. I gave this 5 out of 5. And it follows Tate and Miles. Miles is an airline pilot and Tate moves in with her brother, who is also a pilot and friends with Miles. Hence, they become like next door neighbors, and they start a whole kind of like friends with benefits kind of thing. And Miles is like, yeah, I can't fall in love. And Tate's like, that's fine. That works for me. She starts catching feelings. And as we're in Tate's POV in the current time, we are getting Miles's POV from the past. And that kind of explains why Miles is the way that he is today. I don't really want to say anything else because Colleen Hoover always has some plot twists in her books, so I don't really want to spoil anything, but I will just say that I absolutely loved this and definitely a new favorite from Colleen Hoover for me. All right, I read Veiled Innocence by Ella Frank as well. I was super excited when I heard the synopsis of this one. It was like student-teacher mixed thriller-ish kind of, and I was like, say no more. Did it end up being as thrillery as I thought? No, it kind of like subverted my expectations a little bit, but I did still end up really enjoying this. I gave this 4 out of 5. So this one follows Addison and Grayson. This is told in 2 different timelines. It's told in the present when Addison is in a mental hospital, and then it's told in the past when you're seeing her relationship unfold with Grayson. And so Addison is a high school student. Grayson is her, I don't remember what class he teaches, maybe history, her history teacher. And Addison has some shit in her past with her family that I'm gonna kind of leave out because, again, this one could get kind of spoilery, and I think it is good if you kind of go in blind. But just know, like, the dual timelines, you're kind of wondering like what happened throughout the entire book, which is really cool. And I'll just say that it was a fun time. It definitely kept me guessing and it kept me reading. And I will just say that this is a high school relationship. Addison, I do believe, is 18. So if it's not your thing though, just don't check this one out. I got other ones that are not like taboo. Okay, my only traditionally published romance that I have read this whole month was Fix Her Up by Tessa Bailey. I gave this one 4 out of 5. I think I would put it on the lower end. I did really enjoy it. However, you guys know, if you're familiar with my channel here, traditionally published romance is not my favorite. I prefer indie romance, unless if you're The Hating Game or Take a Hint, Danny Brown. You're not necessarily my fave all the time, I'm sorry, but I did like this. This was my first book by Tessa Bailey and I enjoyed her writing. This follows Georgie and Travis. Georgie is a clown. She's literally a clown and she wants to run her own business, but her family just does not take her seriously. They have this like home flipping business kind of that her older brother and sister both run, but the brother is like a steamroller. that's besides the point. She just wants to get validation from her family that they like view her as an adult and as an equal, and she's not really getting that. And then Travis is a former MLB player. He is retired from the league because of an injury, and he is just down in the dumps and feeling like a failure. And he had a past reputation of being a bit of a womanizer, so that has definitely followed him over. They decide that it would be mutually beneficial for them if they fake date. Travis is trying to land this new job, and he needs a bit of a freshening up of his image, and Georgie can help do that. And Georgie just wants to be seen like a grown adult, and she also has been in love with Travis since she was a child, so she will take any chance to get closer to him. Kind of a bit of chaos ensues after that, but I did enjoy it. It's a really light-hearted rom-com kind of feel book, so if that's what you're into, definitely check this out. I'm like still angry about this book. I read After the Fall by Gianna Darling. I wanted to finish up the Fallen Men series because I read the first 3 last year. So I picked up After the Fall because that was the next one in the line. And I was not excited to be back with King and Cress because I'm like, they're in their happily ever after. I don't want to read about couples baking pies and being happy and just loving each other and living their lives and having it be all good. I know that makes me sound bad, but I want like some drama. I want some angst. I want shit to be hitting the fan, okay? And that was just not really how this book was going. And now I'm going to spoil this book. If you don't want spoilers for this, I'd say flip ahead like a minute and I'll see you in the next book. Okay, you've been warned. So I was just like almost skimming this book. After I got about like 40% of the way through, I was just like, okay, let's just like wrap this up. Let's finish it. And then boom, King dies. And I was like, oh shit, I am sobbing. I am legitimately sobbing. I was so upset. I was crying for for the rest of this whole book. I think it happens around like 60%. And I was crying for the rest of the book. I was so emotional. The funeral, seeing the family process everything, see Cresta process everything, and it's like right after their wedding, I was distraught. And I was like, I took all of their happy moments for granted, and I was about to be like, I'm gonna go back and reread this book as soon as I finish it, because I want to enjoy their happy moments again. And like time goes on. So I'm really thinking like, oh shit, Gianna Darling really just killed one of her main characters, and I love it. I respect it. I'm a huge fan of character death, and King's death made sense for what he did. And I was like, I am here for this. I applaud you, Gianna Darling. Thank you for taking this risk. Like, I love it. And I love to be emotionally destroyed. Then the epilogue comes around, and King had faked his death. I would scream if it wouldn't bother my neighbors. Let dead people die. Let dead people die. Like, I was so annoyed. I hate it. I hate nothing more than when TV shows, movies, books do like a fake death kind of thing. It's just a no from me. Like, if you're gonna kill the character, kill the character. The pain was so visceral, and I was just living. I was living for it. And then it's like, JK. So, anyways, that's my little rant about this. I will just say I'm very excited for the next 2 books because those, besides Welcome to the Dark Side, I feel like I see the most about dead men walking, and that's book 6. And Inked in Lies, I really like Nova. So I'm really looking forward to finishing the series. And I get it. I get that you want your characters to be happy, and I'm sure a lot of other people were happy that King did not actually die. It's just me being a ruthless bitch. Just last night, I finished Dare You to Hate Me by B. Celeste. This is her newest release, and I just love B. Celeste. I gave this 5 out of 5. I love her writing. I think she does such an amazing job creating characters and creating chemistry between them. So this one follows Aiden and Ivy. They are old childhood friends that then were separated and then now found each other again in college. And Aiden is a football player getting ready to enter into the draft, and Ivy is just starting as her freshman year. She has had a rough go of it ever since she ran away from home when they were younger, which is the last time that they saw each other. Ivy has been through some serious shit, so I will just say that this book does deal with mental health and self-harm. It's not graphically depicted, but there is, I would just look up the triggers before you read this if you think you potentially might be. It is heavy. However, the book doesn't like linger in that. And I felt that it was taken care of very respectfully and handled delicately. B. Celeste has yet to let me down in any of her books that I've read. And I really think she's an incredible writer. So I loved this. We're almost done. Then I read the last 2 books in the Nashville Neighbors series by Nikki Sloan. So I read The Pool Boy, which follows Erica and Troy. This is a older woman, younger man age gap. I don't think I've read one before, so it was interesting. I didn't mind it. I don't think it's a trope that I'm gonna like be seeking out, but if a book has it, it's not something that I'm like, I don't really like that. I thought it was fine. I think Troy's like 24 or something, and Erica was maybe like 36. Don't quote me on that, but I think that's like around where the age gap was. And Erica is a talent scout in Nashville, and Troy is an undiscovered artist who is also her pool boy. I didn't love it as much as I liked The Doctor, which was book 1. I did end up giving this one like 3.5 stars. Like, it was fine. It was good, but I don't think I'd ever really like go back and revisit it. And I would say the same for The Architect, which is book 3. It follows Lilith, Clay, and Travis. It's like a menage kind of situation. So Lilith is next door neighbors with Clay, who then like they kind of start a bit of a relationship, but then he travels a lot. So then he's like, hey, what do you think if we bring in my friend Travis to kind of, be here for you when I'm gone kind of situation. So it was kind of fun. I haven't read anything like it before, so it was just like something different. Again, I don't necessarily think it's something that I would like ever revisit, but I liked it for what it was. Still, I didn't like this one as much as The Doctor either. I say I like this one and The Pool Boy pretty similarly. I gave this one I think like 3.5 out of 5. Not my favorite thing I've ever read, but also not a bad read by any means. Okay, then I read Lilac by B.B. Reed, and I just think that this is a hefty book, and I think that it was too long. That's kind of my biggest thing for this. I would give this like a 3.5 out of 5 as well. I enjoyed it. I think B.B. Reed's writing is great, and I definitely want to check out more from her. I have a few of her books on my TBR. It was fine, and I liked it, and I'm glad that I read it, and I'm glad that I've had this like read of it. But again, I don't necessarily think that it's something that I'd revisit in the future. It's a reverse harem. This one follows Braxton, who is a musician. She's a guitarist, and she gets the opportunity to become this band's, I forget their names, Bound is their name, to become Bound's new guitarist because their last guitarist died. R to the I to the P, but not really. So she meets her new bandmates, Jericho, Lauren, and Houston, and they hate her. They do not want her around. There's a lot of like music industry kind of drama going on in this, which was fun. And there's just a lot of like politics kind of involved a bit in the music industry, which was cool. I really liked that aspect. And they're on tour for a lot of it, which is fun. And enemies to lovers, which is great. There was a lot that I liked, but I think it just dragged on for too long. And some things we didn't get answers on early enough where I was like, is this even going anywhere? Certain plot lines I felt needed to be resolved earlier than what we got. And then there were certain things that were kind of like thrown out there, but then we didn't really get more on. So overall, I liked it. I enjoyed it. But again, there were just a few things in there that didn't necessarily like jive with me personally. And then the last 2 things that I read were novellas. So I read Just for a Little While by Fiona Cole. I've talked about Fiona Cole before on my channel. I really like her writing. And so I decided to pick this up. This is a student teacher novella. So I'm like, obviously I'm here for it. And this follows Willem and Arabella. And so it's not only a like student teacher thing, but then it's also like a dad's best friend thing. Super short and sweet and steamy. I don't really have much else to say about this except that it was like enjoyable, but novellas are just never going to be my favorite because I love slow burn. So I kind of knew going into this was not going to be like a 5 out of 5 for me. However, there really wasn't anything wrong with it, and I didn't have any complaints for it. It was just like me personally. I know I enjoy like a slow ass burn, and you're not going to get that in a novella, so I can't really complain. And the last thing that I read this month that I'm going to talk about is Hunting Season. It's Echo's novella by Seven Rue. I'm not going to be reading any more Seven Rue probably in the future. There's not something that interests me anymore, and I don't necessarily think her writing style is for me either. And I read Echo last year and I did enjoy it. So when I saw that she was coming out with a novella for this, I was like, you know what, I'll go ahead and read that. And I just think this was totally unnecessary. Honestly, I'd give it like a 1. I did give it a 2 on Goodreads because again, I hate giving authors 1 star, but I just felt this was completely unnecessary and really outlandish. And like the main character, Echo, fought off a bear like with her bare hands. Literally what? Like It was just ridiculous. And like I said, just unnecessary. And Seven Rue's writing is just not something that works for me and clicks for me. So I think this is an author that I'm just going to be done with reading in the future. And now that like this story is wrapped up, I think I can kind of like close that book, if you will. Okay, that was everything. I think I might still finish the book that I'm reading right now, which is Desperate Measures by Katie Robert, but I probably won't finish that until tonight, and I just wanted to film now because I was ready for the day. So when I finish that, I'll include that in next month's wrap up. But otherwise, like I said before, if you have any like banned or forbidden books that you want me to read, let me know down below, as I will be doing that reading vlog over the next few weeks and getting that ready to be up at the end of the month. I'm excited for that. If there's any other videos that you want me to do, please feel free to leave me a comment. I literally just do this for fun and just to talk about books. So if there's something that you guys want to see, please let me know. Like, I'm kind of open to doing whatever as long as it's within my wheelhouse of like fantasy / romance, because I don't really read anything outside of that. So let me know. I will be doing a Kindle Unlimited favorites. That's going to be up next. That should be up next week, and I'm excited for that one, and I can definitely do more in the future of those too if people like them. So that being said, I'll see you guys when I see ya.